Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles now, through the initial wave of free agency, Philadelphia's really been able to stack up that roster. But coming up on the docket for today, Blockbuster trade targets, big name players and big time moves that Howie Roseman and this front office, as well as the Eagles, can make to improve this roster. Before we take a look at those trade targets, make sure you subscribe to the show. If you want daily shows on the Birds, this is your go-to spot. We're approaching 74,000 subscribers, and we are the largest independently run Eagles channel right here on YouTube. So many other content options out there. Anytime you hang out with us, we're so grateful because it's certainly a competitive space and a crowded space, and I think we are the best. Thank you for your support. Blockbuster trade target number 1, Patrick Surtain, cornerback of the Denver Broncos. 3 years in the league. He's already been an All-Pro. He's already been a Pro Bowler. And why a Surtain trade makes sense for the Broncos as well as the Eagles. Denver is in a position right now where as an organization they're starting to rebuild. And Patrick Surtain is due what is going to be a massive contract extension. And thanks to the Russell Wilson fallout, the Broncos are a little bit tight on cash. They've released Justin Simmons. They've had to rework some deals. And because of that, does it make sense for a rebuilding team to pay $20+ million potentially to a young cornerback when they have other needs elsewhere, especially trying to find a quarterback and stacking up the offensive side of the ball? Philadelphia, on the other hand, they're starting cornerbacks in Darius Slay, James Bradbury, starting to get up there in age. And Patrick Surtain is a franchise cornerstone who can be a key member of this defense for many years to come. I think the foundation has been set for what it might take to get Surtain with the L'Jarius Sneed trade. And there are a couple of elements that we have to unpack here with the Tennessee Titans bringing in L'Jarius Sneed. They got Sneed in addition to a 2024 7th-round pick. And the Chiefs received a 3rd-round pick and a 7th-round pick. That is not a lot for a player who was one of the top cornerbacks in the game this past year. But a big reason for that is the Titans had to trade for Sneed and then give him a new deal, which pays him about $19 million per year. That's what diminished the value a little bit as far as the return for Kansas City. And the Chiefs, as we know, paying big-time dough to Patrick Mahomes. They gave the bag to Chris Jones, highest paid defensive tackle ever. They want to re-sign a player like Nick Bolton, a couple of other young players on that team who they're looking to lock up as well. And the Eagles secondary, I still think is an issue here. Darius Slay, as Howie Roseman said from the NFL owners' meetings, played really well against some top-flight wide receivers last year. And I still think that he's playing good football. Outside of that, we're not sure if Tyler Hall for sure is going to be the slot corner. James Bradbury this past year in 2023 was abysmal. It looked as though he might be cooked overnight, but throughout his career, he's had one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. But the point here being, you pair up Darius Slay with Patrick Surtain, this position group here goes from a weakness to a strength. And I get it. Isaiah Rodgers has not been re-implemented and reinstated to the NFL following that gambling suspension. He probably is, and he can play outside corner. I like what I saw from Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks at moments, but they were also shaky in other moments. Those players are not Patrick Surtain. And Philadelphia this offseason, I believe, has improved the defensive line. We'll see what happens with Reddick. They've improved linebacker with Devin White, Oren Burks. Not hard to do from what we saw in the slop last year. And they got better at safety with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They get a good corner in here like Patrick Surtain. That defense is really looking up as far as the arrow pointing up. The alternative option is that the Eagles could save a lot of coin, wouldn't have to give up as many trade assets or pay as much money for a number 1 corner in Patrick Surtain if they drafted a number 1 corner, which brings us to Blockbuster trade target number 2, and that's Quinyon Mitchell, the cornerback out of Toledo. What Philadelphia would have to do here is trade up in the 2024 NFL Draft. The big question with Mitchell, where is he going to go? We're going to find out early in the draft because how many quarterbacks are going to go inside the top 5, the top 10? How many wide receivers will go inside the top 10 to top 12 picks? That could determine where Mitchell goes. Because if Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, and Bo Nix all go with inside the top 15, let's say, that's going to cause a lot of really good players to slide down the draft order, and then all of a sudden the Eagles are sitting pretty at number 22. We'll see if Penix and Bo Nix do go at some point in the first round, or if they go in the first round at all, but we certainly see some crazy things happen, and teams are desperate for the quarterback spot. So how many quarterbacks go could make it more realistic for the Eagles to trade up to, let's say, from 22 to that 13 to 15 range. And that's realistic because the Eagles have 2 second-round picks and 3 picks inside the top 60 that they can use at their disposal. And I say this with a lot of certainty. I don't think Mitchell's going to be there at number 22. That's why he's included in our blockbuster trade targets. I think this is a day one plug-and-play starter, and I think he's the best cornerback in this draft class. His numbers this past year at Toledo, while also setting the record for the most PBUs in Toledo history, were fantastic. Pro Football Focus overall grade of 91.5, coverage grade 91.6, allowed a completion rate of 43.5%, passer rating of 51.1. He can play man. He can play zone. Man coverage grade of 88.7. Zone coverage grade of 85.9. So the instincts are there for both. 17 pass breakups. Only 1 pick, but he did drop 3 interceptions. And you know the saying out there, that's why he's playing defense. I like the size, I like the agility, I like the athleticism, and all this translates to what I think is going to be a very solid corner in this league. Relative athletic score of 9.75 out of 10. He's 6 foot, 195 pounds. That's solid size for a corner. Very good vertical leap at 38 inches. That's why it's in the green there. And he ran a 4.33 40-yard dash. I was at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. When we watched that, I said to myself, Quinyon Mitchell just climbed up a lot of draft boards, and he earned himself the bag. So let's ask you this. This is the poll question for today's show. Would you rather trade and sign Patrick Surtain or trade up and draft Quinyon Mitchell? Share your thoughts with me down in the comment section right now. We're the most fan interactive channel right here on YouTube covering the Birds on a daily basis. Saquon Barkley jerseys, by the way, are available if you use that link down below. Pennsylvania Kid, Lehigh Valley, Whitehall High School, Penn State University, returning back to Pennsylvania to play for the Birds, F the Giants. Get those jerseys now at chatsports.com/Saquon jersey. And when you use that link, really good deals apply, but you can get some other Eagles jerseys as well. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. Blockbuster trade target number 3, Marshon Lattimore of the New Orleans Saints. Got off to just a terrific all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber start to his career. Last 2 years, he's definitely been banged up, which is why a lot of people around the league, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, think that he could be available via a trade. Other reasons. New Orleans Saints are always against the cap, always in financial hell, and Jeremy Fowler with that report that teams think he could be available via the trade market. A problem here, if you acquire him, is that he's played in 17 games over the last 2 years. Nothing too overly concerning as far as catastrophic injuries, just some injuries here and there. What gives you some hope that he can stay healthy, still only 27 years old, and prior to 2022, when since then he's only played in those 17 games, does have a track record of being healthy. Here are the financials with him. A trade pre-June 1, $31.3 million in dead money for New Orleans, $16.7 million in cap savings. A trade post-June 1, $10.6 million in dead money, $3.9 in cap savings. Has no guaranteed money, though, after 2024. That could be a reason why the Saints want to move on from him and eat that money in 2024. Could be a reason why Philadelphia decides to trade for him because they know if it doesn't work out, they can just let him go after the 2024 campaign. Limited numbers here in 2023 because he was injured a little bit, and Isaac Yiadom stepped in and played very well in replacing him. Pro Football Focus overall grade of 67.4, coverage grade of nearly 70, 48 tackles, 8 pass breakups, 1 interception. Certainly a down year for him, but this is a player who twice a year has been going up against Mike Evans and has dominated, played very well in holding up against Mike Evans, who every year that he's been in the NFL has had more than 1,000 yards. That's pretty telling. And Howie Roseman said from the NFL owners' meetings, we brought back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. We brought in Devin White because we needed more swagger on that defense. And what did I say right after the Eagles season ended? Bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson because the Eagles need that injection of swagger in that defense. Howie Roseman watches the show. He agreed. He made that move. Lattimore, a lot of swag. I want to include Haason Reddick here in this blockbuster trade discussion because Eagles have not agreed to a contract extension with him. There's still a possibility they could deal him. And this is pretty appealing to me. You look at some of the teams in the first round who could use another edge rusher. Jadeveon Clowney had a career year for the Baltimore Ravens this past year. He's going back to his home state. A little bit of a reunion of sorts. He just signed with the Carolina Panthers. So that means that the Baltimore Ravens might need an edge rusher and might be in the market for him. They always have a good defense. They had the best defense in the NFL this past year in 2023. They always have players who can get after the quarterback. So Haason Reddick certainly fits the bread and butter, the backbone, and the pedigree of that organization. They also have the 30th overall pick. So if the Eagles don't want to pay Reddick what he's asking for, do you trade him away? You get back 30 overall, and then you're at 22, you're at 30, and then you have 2 picks in the second round. 4 picks inside the top 60, that's something that I would like to do. And what it does for Philadelphia allows you to have a bunch of flexibility in the draft, where you, in the first 2 rounds, can draft an offensive lineman who can play guard right away, right tackle in the future. Once Lane Johnson hangs up the cleats, you can go cornerback, you can go wide receiver, you can go 2 linebackers in that second round if you want. There are a bunch of different options. Tight end, if you want to go Brock Bowers at number 22, because then you know that you can address defense at number 30. Bunch of different options that you could use in the chamber and a lot of different bullets that you can spray on your draft board for Philadelphia. Which of these scenarios, which of these targets, which of these trades do you like the most? Do you not like any of them? If that's the case, type F Chase. That's fine. You can disagree with me on this platform. That's all good.